Hi, I'm Christina. So right now the Project for Awesome is live and I realized I think I want to make a honk green quilted postcard. So come with me for a little bit of a scrappy sew along as I show you how I make one of these. The materials that you'll need, either a template or a ruler to measure against. The backing for your quilted postcard, I had these custom printed at Spoonflower for the Mystery Nerdfighter art perk, but you can use whatever fabric that you want. A thin batting. I use the thin and warm natural batting that I pick up at Joann's. Whatever fabric you may want from the front, you'll need big scissors for your big fabric, little scissors to trim your threads, optional, some fabric markers to draw details with, whatever sewing machine you have available to you with whatever color thread you want to be sewing with. And you'll also need a free motion foot. This makes it easier for me, but if you only have a standard foot, that's fine. It just takes a little bit longer. Okay, so I'm going to take the fabric that I want for the front of the postcard, the background of it. I'm going to flip it so that way it's wrong side up. Take my batting. So I'm going to attach this onto here with some of my glue over here. I can either use this fusible adhesive or this basting spray. I'm going to go ahead and do the temporary bond and just save that to use on the backing. Since this is my smaller piece, I'm going to take my square of batting right here, my thing of basting spray, and just spray it on there really quick. Give that just a second to dry. And then I'm going to put it on the here. I can now cut out all of my pieces out of all my colors. So to make this really easy on me, I'm actually just going to take my piece of fabric and then overlay it on top. And since my fabric's fairly thin, I can still see my ink through it. And then I just kind of trace over it with my pen. This is definitely better done in like a pencil or heat erasable marker. So now that I have all my pieces cut out, I'm going to use my design and go ahead and place it on my background here. I'm going to try to overlap some of these edges and glue it down, either with just some plain Elmer's glue or some fabric glue. So the reason that I glue all of my pieces down first is to make it just a little bit easier when I free motion applique this on here. So I'm going to sew down all of these small pieces, make sure they don't totally come up. But that is also why I don't have the postcard back on yet, because I don't want all those quilting lines to show through to the back of my postcard. So let's head to the sewing machine. Okay, so now on my sewing machine, I have my regular foot on here, but I need to swap it out for a free motion foot. So I'm going to use my provided screwdriver here and unscrew the screw that is holding the foot down. I'm actually going to raise the presser foot over here so I get a little bit more clearance to pull that out. Now I'm going to take my free motion foot. I'm going to try this open toe one that I just got in the mail the other day. I'm going to lift. Well, actually, no, this one comes in from the back, so I don't have to lift it up like that. So once it's nestled right up against the shaft right there, and you want to make sure that this little bar is over this. That's just going to do the action for whenever you're sewing. So once it's all snug into place, I'm going to go ahead and screw that back down together. Make sure your machine is off when you are swapping out sewing feet and needles and everything. You do not want an accident to happen because machinery can be strong. All right, so there we go. Oh, I totally forgot. I need to drop my feed dogs. Hold on. So on the back of the machine, it was actually hidden since I have my quilting table on here. There is this switch right over here. This symbol with the teeth above the line means the feed dogs are up, and the other symbol means the feed dogs are down. So I want to make sure that my feed dogs are down, so that way my machine doesn't try to move my fabric in a linear direction this way, and instead I can move it any which way I want. So now I'm ready to quilt. So I'm going to gently, with my foot pedal, go ahead and start sewing a bit. I'm going to hold my thread tails out of the way for a bit. I'm just going to follow along the edge of this piece here, since that's all I want to do is want to make sure this piece is sewn down. So while I can go in any which way, whenever I have longer sections of straight shots, I like to move my piece so that way I'm pushing the fabric away from me because it's more natural to how I've learned to sew. It's going to make me sure that I get the best results possible. So let's do another line. want to make sure I get the very edge there caught. And so since I've got just that little bit, I'm going to go ahead and try to do it manually by hand. Yeah, I did definitely miss that edge. Let me try it again. Now it's tacked down. And then I will personally rotate it all the way back around so I can get this long edge here. Once you finish your line of sewing, you'll want to go in and out of the fabric a few times. That's going to be like the equivalent of your back stitch here to secure your stitches. And then needle up, pull it to the side. I can go ahead and trim these threads. There we go. Get those out of the way. I did not trim that all the way. Boop, there we go. And then on the back, your bobbin thread will still be connected. Go and pull that out and trim that. And you essentially do that for the rest of your postcard. So all the quilting is done, everything is secured down, and all the quilting that I want is on there. So now it's time to add some details. You can go in and do handwork, either like hand embroidery or like beading or whatever else to embellish now at this stage. I have fabric markers, so I'm going to do that instead. Went ahead and used the fabric markers to add a little bit of eye shine on there, his nose hole, and I went ahead and colored in his beak on there. So now the next steps to do is I'm actually going to use the, where is it? This fusible adhesive spray. I'm going to spray it on the wrong side of my backing here. Okay, so this has been sprayed with the fusible adhesive, so now I'm going to place it against the backing of my fabric. This is going to be really fun to line up one-handed. And so now, once it's all the way on there, I'm going to go ahead and hit it with the iron. So now that this is done, I'm ready to get a stamp. I'm going to use these pinking shears. They're like the zigzag scissors you see. I'm going to use that so it looks like a little stamp when I cut it out. Then now, yeah, that's ready to glue down. So I just used this fabric glue to go ahead and glue down both the stamp onto the postcard and this little embellished chicken onto the stamp as well. So now that I have all the edges trimmed, I'm going to go ahead and switch my sewing foot back to my regular one so I can do a zigzag stitch all over the edges. So on my machine, I'm going to switch from a regular straight stitch to a zigzag stitch. And then now, you can just get the sewing. And I always forget to bring the feed dogs back up, so I'm going to reach behind the machine, be careful not to break a nail, and then switch that flip. So now, when I sew, it's going to regularly feed my fabric through and under the needle right here. And so now that I've finished zigzagging the edges here, I'm going to hit it with an iron just to really make sure that those stitches kind of meld into the fabric. And also, if you haven't done it on the front either, go ahead and hit that with your iron now. So now that most of the postcard is done, now it comes to some of the personalization of it. I'm using the exact same backing that I used for all of the Nerdfighter art perks that I did. So I'm going to finish it off the same way. I'm going to go ahead and sign underneath my name right here. And then I'm probably just going to write Honk Green, aka whatever Dr. Bill something that they came up with. I was not on a stream during that time, so I'm going to have to look it up. Now I just use a fine point Sharpie to write on the back of this fabric. And so once this dries, I'll hit it with an iron just to really heat set it, and then it'll be all done. And just like that, my quilted postcard is all done. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial, and I hope you have fun making quilted postcards of your very own. Bye!